Welcome to the Saltwater Farm Kitchen. My name is Anne-Maria Hearn, and today we're going to make a spring frittata. This is a recipe that you can substitute a lot of items one for another. So we'll start with an onion, pretty standard, and I have some shallots in the house, so we'll throw that in. If you had leeks or garlic or anything of that nature, you would start with that. So we'll get our cast iron here on low-medium heat and let it warm up just a bit. So we're going to cut the stem end off first, just like this. And then we'll cut directly through the root. And then we're going to peel everything off the onion that is not edible. So the next step is to take your onion and make sure that the root is facing 12 o'clock and cut into the onion like a fan. So we'll drag our chef's knife through the onion like this. This would be considered a medium dice. Now I'm going to come across the onion. And you can see that I can pick the onion up with one swoop of the knife, just like that, and into the pan. Before we put it in the pan, we're going to add a little bit of olive oil. The pan should be warm now. I'd say about a teaspoon and a half. And we'll place this right into here, and do the same to the other one. In the pan. And I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit, keeping an eye on it, maybe to medium. Now, I always add a little bit of kosher salt in with vegetables when they go into the pan because it accelerates the cooking process and draws the liquid out of the onion. And give it a shake so that they're lying flat on the pan, and we'll just leave that there. Now I'm going to work on my shallot. Same story. I'm going to just cut into the shallot like this, slightly smaller. Shallots are a bit more potent than onions in flavor. And so I like to put them in a little bit smaller pieces, right into the pan like this. I have some scallions here which grow really well in this area, and they're tender enough that you don't need to cook them as long as you need to cook an onion or a shallot. So usually what I'll do with scallions is I will cut off the roots, and then I'll cut them very finely into rounds and sprinkle them on top of the final dish towards the end where there's just a little bit of cooking left. Alright, we'll discard the tops here. This particular frittata uses a handful of herbs. So we've got some beautiful chives here, which are always a lovely addition. We will mince those. So we've got some chives and a little bit of parsley. And we'll just give this parsley a rough chop. Okay. Now when you're making this frittata, you really want to think about what vegetables are going into it and how long those vegetables take to cook. So asparagus shouldn't take too long, it's pretty tender. I am going to chop the asparagus. Now asparagus have a natural breaking point, so if you go like that to an asparagus and just break it, this is the part that's tender, this is the part that's not. Pretty straightforward. So we'll just go through all of them. And so now what we're going to do is chop the asparagus into small pieces. I'm going to cut them into about 3/4 to an inch piece-size pieces. And then we're going to go right into the onions, which if you can see, they are becoming transparent, which is a good sign that the onions are cooked through. They look perfect. So now asparagus is going in. Let that cook a little bit, and in the meantime, we will crack our eggs. And this pan calls for 6 eggs, but depending on what size pan you're making, you may want to put in more eggs. Alright, so I'm going to break the yolks, and then get yourself a good whisk. So we've got our whipped eggs, and now our asparagus and onions are ready for the addition of eggs. Just pour the eggs into the pan. Make sure that the pan is on a medium-low heat. Now we're only going to cook it like this for about not even 5 minutes, because what you're looking for is the egg on the edges of the pan to begin to set. And the minute that happens, you know that it's ready to go into the oven. And I have the oven turned up to 425 degrees. You could even pump it up a little higher if you want. The idea is lots of fast heat, which is what makes the eggs rise up. So we've got that going. Now the other thing that's going to go into this dish is some goat cheese. And I usually just like to put small pinches of it throughout the dish. And then last, we're going to add our herbs and scallions. And I only add about half because I like to use them as garnish in the end. I'm just going to pop that in the oven. Alright, so our frittata's ready. And it's got a nice golden brown crust on the top. So we have some beautiful greens here. And we'll just put a nice handful of those on the plate. We've got our dressing, which will give a little mix. And just drizzle that on top. Just moisten it up a little bit. And it goes right onto the plate. And that is a simple, lovely lunch for you and 3 other friends.